Hey, Coupley Fit fam. Welcome back to another episode. By popular demand, the people have asked, we are speaking on dating. So we've had a lot of people say, you know what, Coupley Fit, you guys have found your couple, but I haven't found my couple yet, and I haven't found my person yet. So how do I do that, and where do I start?
I mean, it's perfect timing too, because we talk about date your spouse, but like you said, people are like, I don't have my spouse yet.
Correct.
How do I find them? And I think one of the first things that we like to say is, don't be afraid to get out there and meet somebody.
Meet somebody.
Come on, what was that saying? Bring your potato salad. You better come in there ready to meet somebody. And I think that so often people are kind of afraid. We had those years of, kind of like the pandemic, or everybody's wearing masks. You're not talking to strangers,
Correct.
right? Or walking up to people and connecting. And now we're back. People are out in the wild, as they say, and there's so many opportunities to meet people. But I think that's what this episode is going to help somebody do. It's going to be that breakthrough for somebody to be able to meet their coupley fit, or their special someone. And we're going to talk about some places and things you can do to get ready for that.
Yes, I think it's very important to talk about. I do feel that there is an epidemic of loneliness that's happening right now. And the younger generation, I have a little bit more empathy for, because, again, you have to remember how many high school kids did not have the opportunity to have their prom. We're not able to be just in the hallways to be able to flirt, because your last year or a couple of years during high school were when you were, kind of in your house, you're in your space, you don't have to really talk to anybody. So I think that as we just continue to talk more about being able to find your partner, to your point, in the wild, that can be wherever you are. Don't be afraid to talk to people, like you said. But then, as we know, online dating has been taking off. And we're seeing more and more people that are on dating apps, but then that are also getting really frustrated on dating apps and saying, I'm done with them. I'm going to take a break, which that's all okay, especially if you feel like that is something that you need to do at that moment. Don't be afraid to take those breaks from dating apps. But I'm going to hit you with a quick stat. In 2023, research found that 1 out of 10 partners met on a dating app.
Oh, 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10. So that can seem a little low. That can seem like, gosh, this is maybe why I'm not able to find my partner online. That's such a low number. But what do you have to say about that?
Well, we're in the 90. I would say that we're in the 90%. So, us being
in the
married,
wild.
Yeah, we say we were in the wild.
We were in the wild.
We were in the club.
In the club.
Met on New Year's Eve in the club. But also, I think that there's this era where, and I say this all the time, we grew up in a generation where you do dance, you do, tap somebody on the shoulder and be like, hey, you want to dance? Or, hey, do you want to drink? Like, it was like, that was normal. And I feel like it's gotten to an era where, like, people post videos where they're at the club or out, and it's completely like separate. Like, ladies are on one side, guys are on the other side of the party.
Like 8th grade dance.
Right? Like 8th grade dance. And it's like, no, you need to go over there and actually ask her name, or to talk, or to engage. So I feel like we were in the 90% that met up in the wild. And so I'm more so, I think we're gonna definitely have tips for online dating and meeting up in the wild. Where do you want to start?
Well, I was actually going to ask you, how do you approach somebody?
That's
right?
a great one.
I mean, typically we, especially females, right? We're looking for a male to approach us, but now in society, those roles are reversing a little bit. And we have some women that are like, hey, I'm going to go after what I want. And I've seen that happen, and I've seen it be successful. So I just want to know what your tips either are for men, or what they can say to somebody when they do approach them, let's say at the bar. Or it's intimidating too when you want to approach somebody and they're with a group. It's like, oh my gosh, is everyone listening to this conversation? Are they going to clown me afterwards? There's a lot of anxiety that can come with meeting somebody in the wild, but then also, what do I say?
And so that's a great point. I feel like I'm going to start somewhere before that, because you need to first be prepared. So preparation meets opportunity. So if I was going out, I remember the night we met, I definitely had a haircut. I had a nice shirt on, jeans were fresh, shoes. So I felt confident.
Yes.
So that whether I came up to you by
Look
yourself,
good, feel good,
look good, feel good, feel good, play good, pay good. Or in this situation, mate good or date good, right? So in that scenario, I would say being confident, whether they're by themselves or in a group, that confidence is going to be the first thing, right?
Agreed.
Is be confident.
Not cocky.
Not cocky.
But
and I would really
confident.
say the first tip that I have is have the heart to go up yourself. Don't send somebody
Don't
else.
send somebody. Come on. Come on.
It's lame.
It's a turnoff.
When you send somebody like, hey, tap, 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 my friend over there said he wants to talk to you.
How old are we?
Tell your friend
We're
to
too
come over
grown
here
for
and
this.
introduce himself. So that would be the first thing, is you need to actually go and introduce yourself. First
Agreed.
things first. And I'm really thinking back to the night that we met and my approach when it came to like coming up to you. Because I felt like, man, this is, the most beautiful, woman in the bar right now. I'm getting ready to shoot. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm getting ready to shoot my shot. I got to go in and I got to be prepared. And what I remember was, first off, and this is actually like another pre-tip, it's not always what you say. Sometimes it's putting yourself in a position to be blessed. What does that mean? I got to try to get in your eyesight. So if you're looking over there, I need to make my way. I got to walk and take a lap around the bar and see if we can catch eyes.
Yeah, in sight line is what you're saying.
I'm in your sight line. Do you look? Do you look away immediately? Or do you kind of give me a little pause and a batting of the eyes?
Can I add to that quickly? So there has been research done on flirting,
Oh.
especially in a public space. It takes 7 times where you are either looking at the person, to your point, batting a little bit of the eyes, giving a look up and down. Let me know that you're interested, because now I'm thinking to myself, okay, I know you're interested. That gives me more confidence to come up to you, rather than you're sitting with, I'm just thinking from a woman's standpoint, I'm sitting with my girls and you come over and you're not coming over confidently. You're coming over and you're, maybe just talking straight to me. Like, there is a way to navigate, but it takes 7 times for you to be able to look at somebody, give them the wink, the blink, whatever that looks like, to let them know that you're interested.
Correct. And for those that maybe do not read social cues very well, that looks like someone maybe smiling back at you, batting of the eyes, like you said.
A good
or
look up and down.
Come on now. You know what it looks like when somebody look you up and down. Like, oh, hey.
How you doing?
Now that's a cue of like, oh, she just gave me maybe I'm feeling you, or
Yes.
maybe this is worth me coming over and speaking to you. So like, these are all things pre-conversation or pre-introducing myself that it's almost like getting pre-qualified for a loan. Like,
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, you're getting pre-qualified right now,
Okay.
before you even go up and speak.
True.
Then the other
And
thing,
practice, right?
there we go.
Practice.
Practice in the mirror.
It's giving the wood.
It's giving the wood. Come on.
It's giving
And,
the wood.
and I'm glad you said the wood, because
Yes.
that was going to be my next tip.
Yes.
Make sure your breath isn't stinking.
Please come over smelling good.
Because if you come, you talk about a deal breaker,
Yeah.
you come
instantly.
over and it's,
Ooh.
oh my gosh.
Ooh.
Did you just have onions?
But in both ways too.
Yeah,
That
come
male,
on now.
female, like yes.
Was
both
that a
ways.
jalapeno margarita you just had? Because it is hot. So you want to have some mints maybe in your pocket, some Tic Tacs, right? Not the orange ones. Not the orange ones.
Not the
'Cause
orange.
those will go sour on
Those
you.
will.
But fresh breath, going over, and then back to your initial question of what is it, what's the conversation, or what do you say? Like, I remember when I met you, initially it's just coming in and introducing yourself.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi. Or coming in, hi, how are you doing tonight?
Yes.
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm Kurt. It's great to meet you. Oh, okay. Boom. And know that every person isn't going to give you the, oh, hi, I'm Deanna. It's great to
Correct,
meet you.
correct.
She
I
might
may be
say,
more closed
I
off."
got a man. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But I will say, chances make champions.
Amen.
I knew when I pulled up on Deanna, there was a chance that she said no, but there was a
Rejection.
chance that she said yeah.
And-
And look where we are now.
Amen. Right? And focusing on the chance that this could turn into something rather than focusing on the rejection, because nobody wants to feel rejected ever. So, and that can even stem from, childhood traumas and things like that of being rejected. So know that, try to come into it with a positive mindset as much as you can. Yes, you're going to have people that are going to have their wall up and that are going to turn you down. But I feel like what we talked about before, where it's the 7 looks, somebody's looking at, you're in their sight line, you're batting your eyes, you are, giving a nice smile. Because if you let me know you're interested, that's already a way in. So now I don't feel as if I'm going to be as rejected potentially, but then it does become, okay, now how do you approach me and how do you talk to me first on the introduction side? So I liked what you said there of just, hi, my name is Kurt.
Hi, it's great. How's your night? Hi, how's your night
How's
going?
your night going?
Is this your first time at this club or this
Come
bar or this place?
Yes. Are you
right?
from here?
Are you from here? You can hit her with the, hey, can I buy you a drink? But be careful.
Ooh.
It can be
Hold fast a little bit.
It can be a
Hold
slippery
fast a little
slope.
bit.
Because you go in there offering to buy drinks, and all of a sudden you bought
You
a
have to buy
round of
shots
for a whole friend.
listen, the whole
Come
girl.
on,
Actually, my girls, we'd like a shot of a Don Julio. Come on.
You done bought 12 cherry mojitos.
Okay.
And all of a sudden you're broke and she didn't give you her number.
That's right.
You're looking like
That's right.
this was a bad investment.
That's right.
That's why you introduce yourself and you
That's
start
right.
there.
You do.
How's your night going?
You
and
do.
see how it goes. And also, you mentioned something on the rejection. Don't always get discouraged if you do get rejected. And this is for guys or
Easier said than done.
it's easier said than done. But can I be honest? Sometimes you have to have the mental pep talk to yourself.
Okay.
So for me, what that looks like is if you would have been like, you know what, I'm not interested. I'd have been like, you know what, she must have a man. It ain't me. She must already have somebody.
can't believe
I'm just gonna be honest. That's what I would have literally been like, you know what, she must
I
already
can't
have.
believe it.
She must already have somebody. It's not that she's just not
'Cause
interested.
what you're saying
It's
is
not me. It's not me. It's you.
It's not me. It's you. That can work to a certain degree.
But
I do
right
feel
now,
like that works to a certain
but
degree.
there's more people that are struggling with their confidence than there are
I
people that are
agree.
like on the end of you need to humble yourself and realize that it's you.
That's right.
Right? Because you might have
That's
you might have needed the mint.
Okay.
That might have been what happened,
That's
right.
right.
So, but no, that's the initial is like, okay, no worries. She might have a man. It's all good, right? But don't let that discourage you. And this is going to sound kind of crazy, but my recommendation for the fellas too is like, give yourself like 10 chances.
Okay.
Like, and I'm not saying 10 chances in one night. You don't want to be like trying to holler at every girl in the bar,
No.
but like
It's giving thirsty.
not giving thirsty. But I'm saying like, give yourself like, if you have 2 people say no, or like over the summer, you were out a couple times, you really saw somebody that you were interested in and they like weren't interested. Let that be 1 out of your 10. But like, if I see someone else, I'm going to give it a chance, or I'm going to maybe, swipe maybe right or left, or if you're on one of the dating apps, but stay in the game, because a lot of people want to experience one person roll their eyes and say, ugh. And all of a sudden you think there's nobody for me. And that's not true.
Question for you.
Ready.
Do you think that if a woman approaches you, is that a turnoff, or is that something you look at as being, she knows what she wants?
How old are we? Because I think that matters.
I would say probably early 20s to shoot. Really? The older
It really
you get,
doesn't
the more
matter.
I know what I want.
And that's that's where I was getting at.
But
is
even
that-
early 20s. I mean, the ladies I'm talking to
correct.
are bold.
Correct. I feel like we're in a different era too. And I
Correct.
am a firm believer
agree.
of, and that's why I also said age, because there comes a time where it's like we don't have time to mess around.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
I know what I'm looking for. I think you're attractive.
Which I think starts in your 30s.
Correct.
When
you
you're in your
start.
career
You're more
phase.
confident, and you're
I
like,
know what I want, and I know what I need.
And what that can look like. It doesn't have to be thirsty, where you walk up to a guy and ask for his number, but it can be you're now giving the cues. You're getting in his sight line, batting of the
Hey.
eyes. Hey,
Hey.
right? You do a little wave.
Hey.
Right? Or what's also great, and something that I should have said earlier, the classic compliment.
It
What
goes, it goes
What's
so
the classic
far.
compliment? Oh, I really love your dress.
Yes.
You know, those earrings really bring out your eyes.
Come on.
But don't be fake. Let it be something you really like.
Natural.
Because if she wears those earrings for the rest of your relationship and you don't like them, know why. You said you love the earrings. And she's like, boom.
I'm
these are
wearing
the
them
ones.
because you love them.
Because you love them.
Yes.
Be honest.
Be honest. Be honest. Okay, so this is going to go into now, we were talking about that was more so in the wild and how you can meet somebody there. But now let's think about where we are in this day and age where it's about being on dating apps. So let's start with your dating profile.
And what I was going to say too, I love that you said that with the dating profile, because this applies to your dating profile or your social media.
Correct.
Because
I
even
agree.
if you meet somebody in the wild, like we met in the wild, but I remember we didn't see each other after the first time we met for 5 months.
Yeah, 5
but
or
we
6.
saw each other on social media. So I use that as an example of your dating profile or your social media. You can meet somebody and then get on their socials and be like, ooh, like that doesn't really, the things that they're posting or what they're talking about, it's a little bit weird, or maybe they're a little sketchy. So I just say that to say that what you're posting and how you present yourself is really a difference maker, because this is how people are going to perceive you. And there's always, and I don't want to say this,
perception is reality.
perception is reality, and you don't want there to be a massive disconnect of, I met her out at church, she looks super nice, like great morals, all the things, and you get on IG and you see the OnlyFans link and you're like, who is, I was going to take her home. I was going to take her home to mom's. And now it's like, who's this?
Now I'm second guessing.
Now I'm second guessing.
Right.
Who did I meet? out and about because of social media is telling me a different story.
Not at church though.
I'm just saying, man, you know, come on. Lord
Everyone's
loves
gotta
everybody.
Get saved, okay? Everyone's got to get saved.
What they say, every saint was a sinner.
Oh.
Everyone has a pass. Everybody got passed.
And for us, we say it was our BC days,
That's
before
true.
Christ.
Before Christ days.
This is why we were in the club, y'all.
We were.
So, okay, so dating profile. So let's first start with photos, right? That is the first thing you see, especially for men. It's about the vanity piece, which I think is also a little bit too high. I think that we can bring down the vanity and that being the first thing that you see. I do realize that that goes into evolution and, you know, we can take that all the way back. But when we're talking about photos, and just we quickly also want to preface, although we are married and have been married for 8 years, we have helped multiple people, multiple age ranges create dating profiles.
And find love.
And fall in love. I mean, the amount of feedback that people were getting after we would change their profile. And we honestly, sometimes we were doing it together. Sometimes you were doing it for the male standpoint, me for the female standpoint. But I realized that when we did it together, that
changer.
I was telling you, I was like, I don't know if that's the right photo. You know, hey, maybe let's put something else in the bio where we can show a little bit more of the sense of humor. But
we took a few people from zero to hero.
We sure did. Amen to that. So then when we talk about photos, it needs to be a mix of photos.
Well, first off, the photos can't be outdated. Don't be hitting me with your high school.
Let me finish now.
I'm just saying, don't hit me with your high school graduation photo.
Do not
and
do
you're
it.
40.
Do not do it.
Hair's gray and you got the, you got the brown hair on the photo.
And I'm mad at you because of the catfish. I'm upset. So it's a mix of photos, right? Show me also your personality throughout the photos. No group photos, because I don't know which one you are, but then I'm also potentially looking at somebody else in the group saying, hey, who's that? When I'm supposed to be, and when I'm on your dating profile.
You saying somebody's handsome friend and swooped in on them.
Hello.
Oh man, they didn't swipe. They didn't swipe right and then say,
who's your friend? Who's your friend? Who's your friend?
Who's your man's in the blue shirt?
Who?
That's treacherous.
Who's the girl on the side? Like, who's that?
Man.
Come on now. So no group photos is what we recommend.
Yeah, no group.
And then
don't have your kids in there either. Pets are okay.
Wait, no kids?
I wouldn't. No, I don't. So here's the thing.
Well, that's age. I feel like that's an age.
So to me, I feel like you got to be a little bit mindful.
Maybe
just
one.
of like safety.
One.
Maybe one. Okay. Maybe one.
Maybe one.
But I think I would rather see. I'd rather see you with your dog or your cat.
Yes.
Than like sometimes people see you with your kid and all of a sudden you might get a stalker.
Valid. Okay. To your point, clear and up-to-date photos.
Yeah, for sure.
We can't emphasize that enough. Clear.
And they don't have to be professional.
Quality.
They don't have to be professional.
No, but I mean the iPhone, Samsungs, I mean.
Wipe the lens off too,
Wipe the lens off.
Don't have a thumbprint on your selfie.
Get yourself a nice photo, right? Get into some natural lighting, something preferably with not maybe too much in the background, or more of the focus is on you so that I can see what you look like, because that's what people are looking for. But then also, right, the posing. We have certain poses, especially for ladies, right? If we're posing
a little more flattering. Or unflattering.
Well, flattering, but then also there's certain things where you might just be laying down. Let's say you're in a bikini.
Laying down.
Yeah, like it's. Okay. What do you mean it's summer? Like it's summer and easy. It's a bikini shot.
You're talking about putting your best foot forward on this profile.
I know.
Best foot forward.
I'm saying that is a potential. It's potential.
That's true.
Would you not say that men want to see what the body looks like?
That's what I was going there next. You hit me with all of the above the shoulders.
Yeah.
Got me wondering, did she have legs? Are you in a wheelchair? What's going on? I'm just saying that's how some of these profiles look. We're like, hey, can you do a full body photo?
Definitely a full body.
Gotta have a full body photo.
Has to be a full body.
Even if it's not a bikini shot, just full body.
Yes. But more so, I was just going to say leg placement for women. If there's if it's, you're a little more open to the camera, that might show something
you might be
a little bit different.
Maybe think you have the OnlyFans profile.
You know what I'm saying? So we're going to, exactly. Now with the photos, let's also make sure that you're showing your personality through your photos. So if you are somebody that's high energy, maybe doing something like where you're, I don't even know.
Where you're working out. No, but I was going to say like people that
working
work out.
Do you like to hike? Yeah. Do you like hanging out with your dog? Do you like to, kayak? What do you like to do? Show your hobbies and interests, and then also show us your personality, right? Where you can do something where you have like funny glasses on, or just something where you're showing the human side
Your
and not
dog is
making it
dressed
so
up.
curated.
You're maybe in, your dog's dressed up, or just something that, to your point, shows that personality.
And again, what the tips that we're giving is if you are looking for a relationship, because sometimes dating apps, you're not looking for a relationship. Okay, I'm looking for something else.
Oh yeah, but also I feel
No
that
judge-free zone.
it's a judge-free zone. But I appreciate you saying that too, because I think that goes back to, especially with whether it's online or in person, setting the expectation, right? So if your profile is kind of like not looking for love, looking for something casual, like you're being very clear, it's casual, or like, hey, just got out of a long-term relationship, looking for something casual, or I'm dating and grab drinks, or reach out to me if you want something, like that sends a message. But don't put that and you're looking for like a long-term relationship, but you're putting, I'm looking for something casual, because you don't know what you want. And that happens a lot. Like, how often is it like you don't know what you want? And another thing, I had somebody that asked us,
which is fine to not know what you want.
But don't be shocked that people are hitting you up for casual.
Yes.
And you're like, why am I not finding love on Tinder? Why? What's happening? It's like, it's because that's what you're putting out there. Yes. And also, no weapons in your photos. Even if you're into hunting or you're like a collector, no weapons in the pics. I had somebody ask me, like, what do you think of my profile? I'm like, dude, it's you with like an AK and like the second photo. I was like, stay away. That's what it would tell me.
Yeah,
it's like,
as a woman looking at that, if that's not an interest of mine, then I'm thinking, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, that's not the one. That's not
we need to make sure we meet in a public place.
Come on.
Okay. So then, concise bio.
Yes.
Highlighting some of your interests and hobbies in your bio, which should coincide in some way with your photos that we're talking about.
Correct.
Right? Let's make it a cohesive profile, showcasing your personality. And then what you said is, what are you looking for in terms of dating? Have that in your profile, because there's a lot of, you're letting me know what it is up front. So then if I choose to either DM you or answer your DM, I know what it is. Correct. I'm not confused. I know what the expectation is. If it turns into something more, great. But if it is what it is right now, that's fine too, because I know where you stand.
Correct. And one of the basics I wanted to say too on the photos is, like, make sure some of the photos you're putting your best foot forward. So you should be smiling. This should be the photo that is on Facebook that has the most likes or loves or comments, because that lets you know that people have responded to it and they're receptive. That could be a photo that you move forward with, but don't have yourself grimacing or like looking
angry. Positive.
Be positive, because people are like, literally, who wants to go on a date or reach out to someone that's like, they look like they're not happy to be here. If you're not excited, you're not invited. Period.
That's true.
So you need to be excited. So put that photo, and I just wanted to say too, like, because someone out there might be like, well, what is my bio? Like, what does it look like? Like, give me, like, coupley fit. Give me an example. And it's a nice photo of yourself smiling. It's maybe a photo of you and your dog. Maybe you out on a trail doing a hike, right? Like, those are great. Whatever your hobbies. And it doesn't need to be 50 photos. It could be like, again, a full body.
Just give me quality.
Quality. And it doesn't have to be a perfect image, but like a good photo. And then the bio could be like, hey, don't like hide away from your age. And you don't have to put your exact age. I think the apps maybe require that, but like, hey, active, former athlete, enjoys a fun time, but also good people, genuine connection, looking to, hang out with, or looking to find my best friend or a new group, just moved to the town. I think those types of things can help you. Like, this is why I'm here. This is a little bit more about me. I'm looking forward to like connect with you. But these are the things that we talked about in person, or like whether it's on a first date or when you meet somebody out, you kind of want to have those icebreakers. You're almost like putting that front facing in your bio.
Yes. And I love everything that you said. That is right on point. I do think that when you're talking about age, people can, shy away from that and say, like, I'm going to take 5 years off or whatever that looks like. But then again, I feel like when I meet you in person and you might tell me your age, I already feel like you lied to me once.
That's true.
And it's giving red flag. So I need to, just make sure that whatever you're putting on your profile is what and who you're going to be when you show up to the date. Because it can just show up as your authentic self.
And I love that you mentioned the green and the red flags. I feel like that's a whole episode.
We're gonna get into that. Don't you worry.
I feel like that's a whole episode.
That is a whole episode. We should absolutely do that. Okay, so now we have our dating profile. Is there anything else that you want to add to that? That was pretty good.
I think that's pretty. I
That was
think that was
pretty
pretty
good.
thorough. We just
Okay.
we just put somebody in the game right now.
Amen. I was gonna say, don't be afraid to use AI in the sense
That's true.
of.
That's true.
Don't hit me
Improve.
with the we've been seeing the new photos where
Oh,
you can
yeah,
add like
come
your
on.
professional.
Come on.
Don't do an AI photo.
If you ain't got if you don't have any abs, don't show up with a six pack on your dating profile.
Don't do it.
Come on.
Don't do it.
Catfish.
But to make it a little bit easier on the bio side, you can
Improve
just
your
throw
bio,
into ChatGPT some of your key points.
Yeah,
and
we didn't
then
have
just
ChatGPT
ask,
when we were dating.
No, we didn't. And then just ask, like, I am, a person that is looking for a relationship. This is my bio. Put this into a concise 5-sentence bio that I can put onto, and you can be very specific too on which app you want to put it on, but just on my dating apps. I think that would also be able to help you because sometimes it's harder to.
How do I see myself? Or how do I like put all of this together?
Exactly. Okay, so now we're on the dating profile. We're on it. Okay. We're live. We're looking for a relationship. Now we're talking about first date and initial interactions.
Oh, this is good right here. I got a lot for you.
I know you do. So first I would say is when you're thinking about first dates, keep it casual. It's a first date. You just met this person in the sense of let's go for a walk, let's get a cup of coffee. It doesn't need to be a sit-down breakfast, a sit-down dinner, a sit-down lunch, because sometimes in the first 10 minutes, like, this isn't going to work out. And you don't want to be rude and get up in the middle of a dinner, although I'm thinking I want to. But if it's a coffee, that's something that can be very short, sweet, and to the point. Also, like we said, doing some sort of walk where it's like, actually, I need to go back to my car. I have to, have something to do. If you know that it's not going to work out, but just don't put so much pressure on the first date because you're also when you think of the other person, you're going to potentially get the most nervous, anxious. I am not my full self per se because you're meeting somebody for the first time, whether it is from a dating app or in the wild, you're meeting a brand new person for the first time, and that can be terrifying.
For sure. I mean, your first day at school, your first day at work.
Oh my
your
gosh.
Your first time
you remember
doing
your first
anything,
day
like you're like,
at school.
man, woo.
Like,
first time riding a bike, you might have fell.
Yes.
Right? And so I love that you mentioned that because, and that is online or in person, is there can be those initial nerves. And then you mentioned a red flag. I'm going to tell you that actually, like, this first date is actually going to be the initial filter in the dating process. Mm-hmm. And this is where you're going to find out a green flag is the person that you ask to go out being willing to meet up for coffee or grab breakfast or go for like a walk and chat, or a meetup like that is a green flag. A red flag is you ask somebody to go out on that first date and they say, are you flying me out somewhere?
Ooh,
or are you paying for my out? These are real things. Like, I got a friend that's in LA. We'll have him on the episode at some point, but he's in acting and all that. He's like, bro, ladies are asking me, am I going to buy? They need money to buy the outfit to take them out on the date. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what? They don't have their own clothes? Mm-hmm. This is egregious.
No, I need something new.
You need something new? Like, but to me, that's
look good, feel good. That's what you just said.
That's a red flag. But again, you should be looking good already.
I know,
you should need me to help fund. Because, again, you're going to wear this outfit for somebody else after.
Yes. I think
That's bad.
You're talking a very specific, LA is known for being a certain kind of dating pool. So but yes, you are correct where, again, if somebody is asking you, oh, you want to go to breakfast. Oh, no, we need to go to this, Michelin
We're going to go Maple and Ash for brunch.
Right, we need to go to this Michelin star restaurant, and I'm going to order the tomahawk steak. I'm getting surf and turf over here.
No to-go
and you're
boxes.
running up a check, and then you may know in the first 10 minutes that I'm not interested in this person. That's when you're being manipulative, and that's when you're taking advantage of somebody. And then we also shouldn't be going on first dates just to be fed.
Correct. That's not cool.
That's not cool. That's
first dates to be fed is frowned upon.
Remember, we're all people. We all have feelings. So when you are telling me that you are, you're ordering all of this food, and we've even seen viral clips where I'm ordering for my kids.
Order two things to go for your kids on a date, and they not my kids.
You're taking advantage of the person, and that's unacceptable. And I personally feel like you're not putting not only your best foot forward, but it's almost like a karma thing where that's going to come back to bite you in some way because you took full advantage of this person.
Well, that's a part of the reason why they're single.
Okay.
And then also something else that I want to mention. that you talked about, and I know the extreme was maybe the, are you flying me out? Are you buying my outfit? That's extreme.
That's extreme.
But something that's not extreme, that's very
It
common.
is a tricking culture, though.
It's a tricking culture. And it ain't tricking if you got it, but you better have
you better have
long money.
longevity.
You better have
longevity
money
on your money.
because eating at Maple and Ash every week is expensive.
Expensive.
And if you set that standard, you
Cafe
can't.
Monarch?
Where are you gonna go on the anniversary? You got to go fly to Paris and go to eat. But here's what I wanted to say before. Setting the precedent, I'm going next.
Oh, okay.
But I wanted to just mention the example of, it went viral that people were trying to go out on a date to the Cheesecake Factory, and women were saying the Cheesecake Factory is not good enough.
That was like a Drake lyric, too.
And I want to look right in the camera and say, they're wrong. The Cheesecake Factory is more than good enough.
Yeah.
Let me know in the comments. The reason I say that is because this is a first date. We're getting to know each other.
We're getting to know
the Cheesecake
each other.
Factory, to me, like, think about if you go on 5 days to the Cheesecake Factory, you spend
First
like
off, and it might be a Cheesecake Factory for happy hour.
Come on.
Girl.
Happy
Come
hour.
on.
Don't even bring the regular menus out.
Don't even bring them.
Water only.
No,
bread.
don't do that
Bring
on
the
me.
bread out.
Although I do feel
I'm
like
saying water for me because I'm just drink water.
Although I
save
do
$5,
feel,
$10.
To that point, just quickly, I do feel on your first date or your first couple of dates, a 2-drink maximum. Because when you start getting a little,
first
you
off,
start getting a little turned up and
well,
tipsy, you may make some bad decisions.
Yeah, you start ordering multiple drinks. People and they paying, they start thinking I'm getting the goodies.
That's right.
And it's maybe presumptuous.
That's right.
But they will assume.
That's right.
And you'll be offended. Somebody kiss you, they come all the way. They
in.
come
They're
98. They kiss you. You like, hold on.
Hold on.
You know, order 3 margaritas though. They like, I thought it was Taco Twerk Tuesday in here. Just what they thought. That's just what they thought.
Yes.
So I just wanted to mention that the green and the red flag there on.
Yes.
Are they willing to go to a reasonable place for the first date? And that will let you know if somebody's actually interested in you. Because if they're only willing to go to Maple and Ash, or they're only willing to go to the Prime Steakhouse, and they're like, if somebody really likes you, if they were batting their eyes at you when you walked up to them, or they were like, ooh, they would go to In-N-Out. Like, they would go to Starbucks and sit down with you on the patio and just talk because they're genuinely interested.
Yes.
Or if we really go into another level, the ladies that are willing to reach out and walk up to the man, they might grab the tab. They might say, hey, I'm willing to treat just to let you know I got a job and I can afford it. And that's a flex. Like, any ladies, you don't want to necessarily always set that tone.
That's what I was about to say.
You don't want to set the tone you're going to pay because there's some chumps out there. But if you offer, that's another opportunity. That's another filter.
Offering.
Like, D offered. I remember you offering to pay, and I literally was like, just to know you have the money if I didn't have my wallet.
That's right. I got you.
Because there's sometimes if it was like, yo, I'm not playing a prank. I forgot my wallet.
Although that is something that's been happening now.
It is people playing that role.
There are people talking about,
well,
so what happened
I tell you what, if somebody ordered for their kids, I done forgot my wallet.
I know I forgot my wallet.
2 kids.
Can you actually put her check on a separate tab,
Separate
please?
tab.
Okay, she's got it.
Come on.
She's
and
got
I'm going
it.
to be honest. There's nothing wrong with saying you got to go Dutch. If it gets weird, it gets froggy
That's
in
a
there.
bit much.
I'm just
Okay.
saying, if it gets froggy and somebody get to ordering a meal for today, for tomorrow, and for their kids, be like, you know what, actually, 2 checks. This is the last date anyway.
That's right. So, few things, right? So you want to show up authentically on your first date and your initial interactions.
Yes.
You want to focus on connection, right? Be present there and don't be on your phone. Oh my gosh, that is the worst when you are on your phone. Again, there are some scenarios where it's case by case, especially if you have kids. I do feel like you need to be on your phone at some points, but don't be on your phone the whole time, because now you're telling me that you're not engaged. You're telling me that you're not interested in this. So then why am I still here? I'm going to leave. I'm going to go ahead and just check out.
And I almost blew it on our first date because I was on my phone.
Well, yes.
But it was a circumstance, so I appreciate you being understanding, but it just wasn't a good look. I did pick a great place for the first date, which is Dave & Buster's. And for those that don't know, as a former athlete, I wanted to see, did she have athleticism?
We were also 23, 22.
Yeah.
So
okay.
we have to
that's
preface,
true. Get a preface. But
you may not be 40, 40, 50,
and go to Dave &
like,
Buster's.
hey, I want to go to Dave & Buster's. So,
but if you're youthful, that might be a great spot.
That's right.
Come on.
That's
Wednesday,
right.
I think they got the two play Wednesdays, get extra game card.
Come on now.
But we had a great time.
Bring that game card for your kids.
Come on now. Game card back for the kid. That's okay.
Come
bring your kids back on the extra
points. The game
points.
card came with the $50 I just spent. So the 10, take that to your kids.
But I was just gonna say, when we met and we went to the Dave & Buster's on that date, I remember running into a couple people that I knew, which that wasn't really a good look.
No.
So my recommendation would be try to go somewhere that like you don't know everybody. And I didn't plan to run into people I knew. I just we were in Tempe, Dave and Buster's Tempe Marketplace, and literally I just happened to run into 3 people that I knew walking into the building. And she was like, ooh, he is too popular. Who is this?
Thanks.
That was when then my phone was ringing off the hook because at the time I was getting ready to fly. I had a workout or something going on, but I just didn't mean to be distracted. But that was a perfect example of I almost tricked it by being distracted on that first date. But I appreciate you giving me another chance.
Yes, and then also the questions you asked. You were asking as if this is.
Let's get straight. Hey, let's
Let's
get straight to it. Let's get straight to
He
it.
said, "Can you cook?" I was like, "Wow."
I need to know if I need to know if this is a good investment.
And what did I say? I said I can cook, but I may not cook for you.
You did say that.
Because I'm gonna. I have to.
You did say you cook for your brother. You're like, I cook for my. But also, I appreciated that you was basically letting me know, like, I ain't out here just cooking for men. Like, I cook for my brother.
Okay.
But you let me know you knew how to cook. But if you would have said, like, no, I don't know how to cook, I would have just said mental note, deal breaker.
Yeah, that is a deal breaker for you, especially when it
breaker.
comes to the grannies can throw it down.
Deal.
Woo, they can throw it down.
Come on, granny.
Listen, catfish, woo, child.
now.
So then let's also go into when we were talking about Dave and Buster's. That's also another way to prioritize safety. I feel like that's something we do need to talk about,
Public.
especially in this day and
don't have
age.
people meet
Go
up at your
somewhere
house.
public. Do not meet up at somebody's house. I have heard, y'all. I've heard real
dangers.
serial
Give
killer.
one example.
I'm not. We'll save that, but. There have been some very tricky situations that I've heard women get into because they met up with somebody at their house. No,
Terrible idea.
let's prioritize safety, especially for the first date or an initial interaction. But again, right? Some would say, well, it depends on what you're on the dating app for. If you are on a dating app for more casual interaction, then maybe meeting somebody at their house is where you choose to do that.
You might have a Ring camera.
But just make sure that either somebody knows your location, you know where you are, you have an air tag on you. Hopefully it's not put on you by somebody else, because that is something that's happening now, is that, women are being preyed on where there are air tags on their cars. So again, just prioritize your safety. You said this earlier, compliment sincerely on something that you do
Genuine.
like, and don't compliment me on a
body part.
body part. Don't do that. Oh, you got a big old booty. Like, get out of
It's
here.
not your beauty. It's not your beauty. It's your booty.
That's a no for us. That's a no for us. And then I would also say something too, when you're thinking about a first date or an initial interaction, you're not marrying this person today.
Correct.
Don't put so much emphasis on this initial interaction is what's going to determine the entire rest of the relationship. Because,
Unless they can't cook. And that's a deal
okay,
breaker.
that's a deal breaker for you. Okay.
Just was a deal breaker.
But yes, you're correct. And so you're not going to marry this person today. And again, when you're meeting somebody for the first time, you're meeting probably my most anxious, nervous, and
a
I don't
version
know.
of me.
A version of me that may not be my best version. So give me some time. Like, give me a little bit of space to be able to show you who I actually am. And then this also goes a little bit into what we're going to be talking about next, which is what happens during the dating process. So now we have our dating profile. We're going on some first dates, some initial interactions, but now I'm in the process of dating. I'm in the process of being open, seeing that I've maybe done some inner work on myself to be able to get to where I am. Now what happens during the dating process?
It's a great one. So I think the dating process, first and foremost, we have to do the initial work to know what we're even looking for before we get out there and start dating.
Yes.
So like for me, I did the initial work of knowing a brother's got to eat. So I got to date somebody that can cook, because I'm not going to be doing all the cooking. But like if you're one of the fellas and you're a chef, you might be like, hey, all the ladies, it doesn't matter if you can cook or not. Girl, I'm going to cook for you.
Yes.
I'm not that guy.
That's right.
So that's a perfect example.
You got breakfast though.
Come on, I can cook. I'll scramble
give yourself.
some eggs.
Come on now, give yourself some credit.
To perfection.
Yes.
So that's a perfect example of breakfast. But then also like knowing what those red flags are, and then also like knowing what is a good flag and what's like, come on now, be better. So we talked about it earlier. There's some ladies that are like, I need my man to be over 6'5" or 6 feet. 6 feet is just like ideal number. What's the average height of a man in the U.S.?
5'8".
So you're already putting yourself at a disadvantage. Mm-hmm. So know that like, okay, 6 feet is a soft, like soft flag.
Yes.
But like maybe someone that like has kids is something that you're like, hey, I don't have kids and I'm not.
That's true.
So like
That's
for
true.
me, I remember like we weren't in a situation where you had kids. We both didn't have kids, but like I met people around the time that we were like that had kids, and I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
that could be something where I'm just me personally, preference wise, I don't want to deal with like the baby daddy and
Sure.
like, may have, he want to know why why I'm disciplining his kid or why I told him he can't watch TV all night. And like, I got to answer those questions.
Uh-huh.
So like, but that can be something that going into the dating situation so that now
Knowing your deal breakers is
knowing
what
your
you're
deal
saying.
breakers and then knowing like, hey, this is
A
on
soft deal breaker, and this is a hard deal breaker.
correct. A hard deal breaker might be like domestic violence. If they've got a tone or look like they're angry, like I'm out of here. But like a soft deal breakers, they're not 6 feet and they're 5'9", but they're really nice and they're sweet and all of those things. Or maybe they're not a size 0, but they're really nice. They're amazing. Like those are things that can be softer deal breakers where you can get to know somebody. And that can be things that you're finding out in that dating process. But it's good to go somewhere where you can actually talk and get to know somebody on dates. So I
Yes.
say like places to avoid, don't go to the movies. Literally,
Yeah,
you're gonna
I mean-
pay to go sit somewhere and be quiet
And
for
be
2
quiet.
hours.
What's the point?
And it'd be like, how was the movie? And you got a chance that the movie wasn't even good. So if the movie's good, you're quiet the whole time. If the movie's bad, you're being judged because you picked a terrible movie and we're like, we just wasted 2 hours sitting here watch like in the dark and quiet. So I would just say do things where you can actually talk to each other, you can engage, you can walk, and also you can find out more about that person on each date. And really, it's the discovery. Like, that's what I always like to say. Like, are you discovering who this person is? Like, what do they want to do in 5 years? Like, that's going to, if you're asking those questions and genuinely get to know the person, you're going to really find out, is there potential here? Is this not a fit? You're going to find out pretty soon.
Yes, you're right on point with all of what you said. And I think that when it comes to the dating process too, like having fun. I know that sometimes people, from what I've heard, is that there's such an emphasis on the first date where it's almost make or break. And that can take the fun out of it for people where you want to go in and just see like, hey, let me just see who this person is. Like, let me just get to know this person rather than I'm going in to find my mate. I'm going in to find my, my soulmate, for example. So have fun. Don't rush. Take the time to get to know somebody. It may take a couple of times too. So don't just instantly write somebody off unless they give you that red flag or they give you that hard deal breaker in that moment. Then you can move on to the next, but give people an opportunity to show you their true authentic selves.
And I was just gonna say too, that social media aspect as well of now you're dating somebody, but also like if they're nervous on that first date, like your social media is also a representation of you. It's almost like your resume, right?
Correct.
So if like, oh, she was super nervous, like I don't know if she stuck up, is she mean? Like she was super quiet. But if I see on your social media, like, oh, she's really outgoing, like, man, she's a mentor. Oh, she's like doing all of this stuff in the community. Like that can also help me understand who you are aside from just that first date. So also like make sure your social media is a representation of you in a good way so that, because again, it's almost like a job interview, right? Like the job, before they invest into you with a salary, they want to look at your LinkedIn or your resume and see if you're a fit. It's the same thing in dating. So like make sure you're putting your best foot forward.
Yes, and I also think that for if you are a mom or a dad, there are some people that are out there looking for just that. You are a great mother, and that's going to show me so much of your quality, and it's going to show me who you are as a person by you being a great mom or being a great dad, and that's actually going to make you more attractive to me. So I also think that too, because it can kind of be sometimes you may not necessarily always want to talk about your kids, but I do feel if that is the realm that you're in, that's a topic, but it's not the entire conversation.
Yeah. No, and there's so many people out here too. I love that you mentioned that because I think there's some people that, like you mentioned earlier, are lonely or maybe feel a little bit hopeless when it comes to the dating scene and situation. And there's literally someone out there for everyone. And so, like you just said, there's someone that's out there that for that single mom or that single dad, there's somebody that's like, hey, I don't want kids, but I would love to
your
find
kids.
somebody and be able to like, shower your kids with love and be able to be a bonus dad or a bonus mom. And they're literally looking for that. So just know that like you can have hope and not feel like I can't share that I'm a mom, or like be my authentic self because I'm afraid that that's going to no,
Be
like
a turnoff.
be you because that's going to attract you to the
Authentically.
right person, or like move you away from the wrong person.
Exactly. That's very true. So that goes to communicate openly about what you are looking for, but then also who you are. Set boundaries as well during the dating process on what your expectations are.
Yeah.
It's not the first date though. Hey, this is my expectation. Can you live up to it or not?
Maple and Ash every Saturday.
Because that makes it feel as if you are interrogating me, number one, but that also makes me feel like I'm already on the defense because what are your intentions? Are you trying to maybe get with me for my money? Are you trying to get with me for my status, power? What is it that you are looking for from me? And then vice versa too, right? What am I looking for from you? So I think setting expectations is another great opportunity for you during the dating process. Listen and be respectful. You, again, when you're actively listening to somebody, it should be ping pong in a conversation where you're going back and forth, and are you from here? You say yes or no, and then based off of that, I then have another question that I can go a little bit deeper, and then another question to go a little bit deeper. And it's just about having casual conversation in the beginning, because you're just getting to know the basic of who this person is. And then when we're going to talk a little bit about dated relating questions that you can ask, to then start seeing more of, okay, for example, how do you handle conflict, right? That's going to be more pushed down later down the line. That's not your first date or even second or third.
That's not an icebreaker.
That's not an icebreaker, right? And so you said something before where you want to recognize those red flags. And if that is something that is hard for you, because I do know quite a few people where they say, those social cues, or I don't know how to recognize the red flags. If you have a support system, you have your group of girls where you can go to and you say, hey, this is what was said to me. Like, I don't know if I am overreacting or if I'm maybe being triggered, but this is what was said to me. What do you all think? Now, take it with a grain of salt, right? Kind of chew on the meat, spit out the bones when it comes to that, because you will have some people. Go to your friend that you know is supportive and that you know will give you the right feedback. I think we all have an idea of who that friend is. If you don't know how to recognize those red flags. But if you do, it makes it easier for you to be able to move on to either the next person or even a new dating app, because there may be a dating app that's not working for you. And there are now dating apps where you can get more into your personality, and that's already a part of your profile that you don't have to add into your bio per se.
And I'm glad you said that about personality, because something I looked up too is I wanted to know what your zodiac sign was. Are we compatible?
You sure did.
What they say about the Tauruses and the Scorpios.
You sure did. And I think that was maybe 3 months in. You sent that over.
Early, not late. Tell me more about you. Yeah. I want to know the things that you may not be able to tell me. What does your zodiac sign say? Yeah. And it may not be all right, but although like you got the stinger, but super loving, all of those things, Scorpio, but like it does say like that we are a good match from the sign perspective. So I just think that's interesting. It's not everything, but it is something.
Correct. And then lastly, during the dating process is just be positive. I know it's not always easy to be positive, especially if you've gone on like date after date after date, and it's getting you start thinking it's hard out here. And it is hard. I'm not going to take away from that, but also realizing that when you are positive and kind and putting your best foot forward, you're going to also attract that, right? What energy are you putting out there? Because that's what you're going to also attract. This goes back to the red flags though, because sometimes you can be the positive and optimistic and people do take advantage of that. Recognizing that is a red flag, and if you can maneuver around that, but still just showing up in a positive light, showing up and smiling, just smiling, even if it's not necessarily how you feel during that time. By talking to somebody else that sees that you're smiling, it allows them to be more open and more receptive, and then it's, oh my gosh, this turned into such a great date. I wasn't that excited about it in the beginning, and I was just kind of going to go maybe. But now that I allowed myself to be in the process and be open to it, that was actually a great date, and I enjoyed that, and I would maybe like to see you again.
Yeah, and I think, the fact that, to your point of what you mentioned, of go places that bring that joy out of you.
Yes.
That bring that smile out, whether that's church or volunteering or your favorite game or event or, trivia, karaoke, like whatever that is that you smile, there's a better chance that you might meet somebody or they see that smile or that energy in that moment, which is really impactful. So I know we dropped a lot of gems today.
We did. So I'm figuring out how I want to transition, because we can go into conversation starters, which I feel like that would just make it easy if you have like 3 questions that you can kind of go to that will open up the conversation. But then I also want to ask you, where do you meet people? Where do you meet people nowadays? So maybe let's do conversation starters first, and then let's go into where to meet people. Okay. So when we're talking about the first date, some conversation starters are very simple. Where did you take your photos in your profile?
Oh.
Huh?
That's a great question.
I loved seeing, there's a monument behind you. It looks like you like to travel. Where did you take that photo? And now that opens me up to then share with you, I have this love for traveling. I've been to however many countries, which we have our second episode where we were interviewing Brett Hundley and his wife Khadijah. They've been over 60 countries, and that's something that brings them joy. So that can be something that also connects you too. But then also, simply, are you from here? Very simply, are you from here? And if you're not and you're a transplant, where are you from? Because that can give me a little insight also maybe into your morals and values, right? We have some of the Midwest charm. We have the Southern hospitality, those type of things too. That can also give me a little insight into the values that you bring. But also, what's your favorite thing to do on the weekend? Right, very light. I'm not asking you about your past relationships
or how much money
do you make. What are your religious beliefs? We're not getting so heavy into that. This is just a first date.
Surface.
It's surface. Get to know you. And so, what are some of your favorite things you like to do on the weekend? Another question is, what's a recent experience that made you laugh? I thought that was very good. I just.
Icebreaker.
It's already something where it's uncomfortable to meet somebody for the first time and have this initial interaction, but let's just open it up a little bit. Something else too, if you are somebody who is a movie buff like you are or likes to read books, what's a book, movie, or show that you'd recommend? What's something that you're reading right now? What's a show that you're watching right now? Because that also, all of these questions are giving just a little bit of insight.
For example, if somebody says, I actually don't read books, I don't like reading. Deal breaker. You don't like education, you're not trying to learn.
Deal breaker.
That can tell you a lot. But maybe if you're if you're somebody else that doesn't like reading and they're like, I love audiobooks or I love movies. You're like, well, I love movies. Mm-hmm. Now you might have found your match. Y'all don't have to read together. Mm-hmm. Y'all can go to all the movies together.
Yes. So also, what song gets you moving? What song are you feeling right now?
Find out about the music. All of a sudden, find out that someone's got sweet feet.
Sweet feet.
On the dance floor next. All because you asked that question.
And now we're salsa dancing. Ooh.
Hey, crazy shoulders.
Come on.
Hips.
What's the most spontaneous thing you've done lately? It can be lately, it can be done, period. What's something spontaneous that you've done? Because then also that might let me a little bit of insight into.
I jumped off a bridge and bungee jumped.
And it's like, that's a little extreme for me. I'm not an adrenaline junkie for me. That may be something I need to kind of. That's a soft deal breaker potentially.
Or opposites attract.
Right. That's true. That's true. Okay, so those I feel like are some great conversation starters when you're just getting to know somebody and you are on that initial date, that first date. Now let's get into some of those deeper questions. Maybe we're on the, 5th plus date where I surface level have gotten to know you, but now let's get a little bit deeper, because if you're on a 5th date, I'm interested, right? Like I would say
5th date, you didn't invest a couple $100.
Potentially. A walk is free. Okay.
That's true, but ain't a lot of people walking on these dates from what we're hearing.
Maybe that's a problem. Let's get into nature. Okay? Let's get into nature. But let's get into some of the deeper questions where, what are you passionate about? Right? Like, let's start getting into, because if you say, I'm not passionate about anything, but you're somebody that is okay,
red flag. Not passionate about anything.
You may not be passionate in bed, and that's something that I may want.
Oh.
What do you mean? Yeah, let's get deep. What are we... Hello?
That's true. I was thinking about passion in life, but now
passion in life, but then also passionate in. Are you
physically passionate too? Yeah, that could be a deal breaker. That could be a red flag for somebody.
Hello? Yeah, I mean, women, we are very emotional and naturally want to have a connection. And if you're not passionate about something, then that's already letting me know a few things about you.
You need to go do some discovery and find your passion, fella.
Thank you. You need to do some shadow work.
It's time for some shadow work.
Yeah, it's time for some shadow work. But figuring out, right, what are you passionate about? What is a goal that you're working towards?
This could be another deal breaker.
This could be another deal breaker.
Somebody you don't got no goals? You don't have no goals?
If you don't have any goals, or if you're working towards a goal that what is fulfilling for you may not necessarily, some people may look at that as being, ooh, okay, well, that's not something that I find passionate or that a goal that I would work towards, but at least you're working towards a goal. At least you're being ambitious.
And I love that we're having these conversations about these key questions that are second, third layer.
Come on.
Because so often people get caught up in the goodies, both male and female, where it's so caught up on the sexual or the physical aspect that now you've just looked past all these questions. They ain't got no goals. They don't do any reading. They don't have any passions.
Right.
But the physical thing is the only thing that you have. And that's why you're on the fifth date.
Right.
We got to do some self-exploration of, is this enough? Is that physical component enough 10 years from now or 20 years from now or when that wears off?
Yes.
Or like, what are the goals? The
all
goals
age.
are what's left,
Correct.
right? Or is this going to be a good partner and helpmate beyond just the physical aspect? So I just wanted to call that out. That's a great point that you made of, wait a minute, what are your goals? What are your passions? And these responses can give you an idea so that you're not in a situation where you're carrying somebody. Because we do know there's relationships where, think about being on a boat and it's a 2-person rower and there's only one person rowing. Yeah. And it's like, wait, who's on that right? You feel like you're going in a circle because there's only one person rowing on the inside versus we're both rowing and we're going further together.
Yes.
And so you want to find that person that you're going to row with and that has that vision, but these questions can help you find that match.
Correct. And I think something that is, although this is a very simple question, it's a question that's going to get deeper into the other person, which is, what's something you're grateful for? That can be period. That can be today. What is something that you're grateful for? But now we're getting more into who you are as a person rather than, again, the surface level questions. We need to start getting a little bit deeper when it starts getting closer to the 5th+ date. And these are all ways, those 3 questions are great ways for you to be able to get under the surface and figure out, is this going to be a long-term relationship or is this going to be something that's just for now?
Is this some short-term fun?
Correct.
Or is it short-term fun that you see can turn into something long-term?
Right.
Or like, basically, what are your expectations?
Correct. Because then also, whatever your questions are to those answers, if you're saying something where, what's the goal that you're working towards to today? And it's like, I have this goal, but I'm not working towards it today because I'm maybe in this job and this job isn't allowing me the space, the energy, the time to be able to put into my goals. But these are some of my goals that I do have. You may be talking to somebody where it's like, I can actually help you get to that goal. And now we're starting to talk about a partner. And now you're seeing that, okay, you have partner qualities and partner tendencies. This is making me feel like we can have a longer term relationship, that we can have a more intimate relationship as well. And then let's go into dating related questions. So now, yes, we're going deeper, but then let's go into the actual relationship piece. For example, what are you looking for in a relationship?
That's a really good one. Because so many times people don't necessarily know. I know for me, one of the things we were talking about that, I want somebody, I'm looking for a partner, a wife. Can you cook? You know what I'm saying? Can we build together? What's your vision? One of the things looking for in a relationship, I want somebody shooting with me in the gym.
Amen.
Like, that's just me. I don't want somebody that's like, oh, you're grinding, you built this empire, and now they just joined you at the castle. Like, no, I want us, like, I feel like we genuinely laid down the bricks for the castle or for the foundation ourselves. And so now we can be
I think this goes back to intention.
That's what I'm saying, that intention. And so those are the things that I would say that I was thinking about when we were initially getting to know each other and dating, was like, man, okay, this is somebody I can build with, but also I realized this is somebody I just genuinely get along with and I enjoy their company, and it was naturally easy.
Yes.
And I'm not saying, and you definitely weren't easy. It was easy to spend time together.
Yes.
It wasn't like, oh man, I'm stressed, like I'm pulling up on you and I'm leaving the date.
There's a hard conversation and I'm feeling drained.
I asked you questions and I felt like I'm feeding questions at you.
And you're not asking me any questions. You're not trying to get to know me.
And a great indicator too is, did it feel like, I used to feel like when we spent time together, and even still when we do, we can look up and forget what time it is. Like we start a conversation in 2-3 hours and went by, and it's like, yo, or we're hanging out with friends. Like that's also a good indicator. So if you're with somebody and it feels like time is just like, I don't even know where the time went. And we're already like, well, oh, we got 15 more minutes. We got another hour. Or like, let's put the next date on the books. Like those are all green flags that like your energy is aligned. There's synergies. And this could be something that someone you want to spend more time with.
Yes, I love that. That can go right into the next question of what do you think makes for a successful partnership? We're not saying relationship, a successful partnership.
So a successful partnership, the first thing that comes to my mind is humility, right? And I know we're faith-based, and I think about servant leadership, but you can't serve if you're not going to be humble, right? And I think about the greatest act of servantship that comes to my mind. And, I got the Last Supper on the arm, but Jesus washing the feet, right, of the disciples and showing I'm willing to serve.
Yes.
And so if we can have
24
feet, so if we can have that approach of serving and that mentality, I think that's so key in partnership, because so many people come and they're looking for something to take or something in return. What do you have that you can give? And so to me, that's the first aspect. And then the second is how do we create a win-win-win, right? How do we make sure that you're moving towards what you want to achieve, I'm moving towards what I want to achieve, and we're moving towards that together. And a part of that is being equally yoked.
Yes.
For example, if you're in finance and you're super into the details and that's the focus, you may not want to be with someone that has no financial acumen, doesn't care about finances, throw the money in the wind. Yeah. It ain't tricking if you got it. I don't care, because naturally there's going to be strength.
Why wait for retirement? Let's spend it now.
Come on, let's blow it. Come blowing money fast.
I blew it back today.
Naturally, that's going to be friction in your relationship, because you're like, what are we going to do? We're going to be in the poorhouse. And they're like, who cares about the house? We're going to live in the car. Like, that's not something that matches well. So to me, those are like foundational pieces that I think really matter, is that humility in servantship, but then also being equally yoked.
Yes. And lastly is, this is a deep conversation starter, is how do you usually handle conflict? I think that's because there's going to be conflict.
Set it off in this.
Okay,
set it off.
Okay, because there are going to be times. This is very, this is something that is going to happen in your relationship. There is going to be conflict. There's going to be conflict within your relationship. There's going to be conflict within a family dynamic if you have kids. There's going to be, or extended family as well. So how do we handle conflict? How do you handle it first? And then how would we handle it together? And then maybe let me throw out a scenario, right, that has potentially been a past situation that I've had, that this is how the conflict was handled, or I wish that it was handled in a different way. And being also very honest in how you express that to the person, because again, we're looking for partnership. We're looking for that relationship. If this is a marriage type of conversation that we're going to have, be honest with how you do handle conflict. And then when we do have conflict, that will give me a better idea of what to expect, right? I don't want to then have a conflict and you told me one thing, but you're acting completely opposite. Because then I'm going to look at you like, I feel like you lied to me.
So essentially you say that because that reminds me of one of my favorite lines from one of my favorite poems is, for I may misunderstand you in the fine advice you give, but there's no misunderstanding how you act and how you live. So people can say one thing and their words will say one thing, but let's also watch those actions. So when we say, how do you handle conflict? I think that's going to be something that in time, over those 5 dates, when they're picking you up, right, things like that, if someone cuts them off on the freeway, do they flip them the bird? Do they lay on the horn? Do they jump out and beat on their window? Like, those are signs that this person has an anger problem.
Yes.
Like, I may want to, like, be cool on that versus they wave and say, like, it's okay. Let me let them over. Like, that's a basic, but you're seeing how they respond to conflict in a small situation like that. Or you're pulling into the restaurant for that date and someone's trying to take their parking spot. Right? Like, do they, try to jump out the car and pull them out of the car? Or is it like, hey, you've got it, right? Those little things are also indicators, right? And I know I'm using a lot of car examples, but like, do they pull into the handicap spot and they're not handicapped? Like, that's a little bit of a little flag of like, dang, like they didn't want to let someone that actually has a disability park there. Like, those are all things that you'll find out about how someone handles themselves through that dating process.
Yes. And I'm going to add something too that I think is very simple. How does the person also treat people that are in hospitality or in the service industry?
Ooh, how do you treat someone that can
somebody
do nothing for you?
that, yes. How do you? Because do you say please? Do you say thank you? Do you even say, hey, I appreciate you. Thank you for, for kind of serving us today, right? Like,
Do you tip? Are you on your way?
Do you tip? Do you not? Right? Those are also little things I do think too, that just being mindful of when you are with somebody and having that interaction is also, how do they treat people, right? You want to treat the janitor like the CEO, and make sure that you are being a kind, nice person, somebody that is, I can see myself with. So, we talked about a lot today. Quickly to recap on the dating tips. Don't be afraid to meet somebody out in the wild. In the wild. Don't be all, everyone is online dating as well. What does your dating profile look like? Be very clear and concise for what you're looking for as well on your dating site. We're going to talk about first date and initial interactions, how you should go about that during the dating process. And as you are getting to know somebody, what are some conversation starters? And as you do get to know more of the surface level, okay, it's time to go a little bit deeper. And then it's time to ask some questions that are going to incite some deeper reflection, conversation, and getting to know you, and if you're ready for a partnership, which is what I'm looking for.
100%.
Yes. So thank you so much, Coupley Fit fam, for watching this on YouTube or for hearing us on all podcasts. If you are watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you are seeing this on social media, please follow us at Coupley Fit, COUPLEYFIT. Bye.